You wait, you watch, then finally jump in, just as the market reverses. Brutal. But what if one simple indicator could help prevent that? It reads price action live, expands with volatility, drops a single dot to show when momentum truly shifts, and even creates an advanced dashboard that tells you if your entries are working. In this video, we'll show you how to set it up in seconds, use it to catch cleaner pullbacks, avoid fakeouts, and how you can get it completely free. Let's go. This indicator takes the core idea behind the Donchian Channel and cranks it to 11. Instead of just plotting highs and lows over a look-back window, it expands those levels dynamically based on volatility. When buyers take control, the lower bound rises and the cloud builds underneath price. When sellers flip the bias, the upper bound drops and the cloud flips overhead. Why does that matter? Because trends don't move in straight lines. They pulse, they breathe. This indicator reads that expansion and compression in real time, revealing when momentum is building, dying, or about to flip. And when that shift happens, it doesn't make you guess. It prints a single clean dot right at the pivot. No more staring at lagging crossovers or messy overlays. Just one glance tells you the trend, the bias, and where reactions are likely to unfold. When you add expanded cloud, you'll see a shaded band that hugs price. Green beneath during bullish phases and red above during bearish phases. A small dot appears at each true bias flip. Green for a new uptrend, red for a new downtrend, giving you an immediate pivot signal without repainting. You may also notice a faint dotted line tracking the active expansion source, which helps you judge whether the current move is pressing into highs or sinking into lows. Practically, traders use the cloud as a dynamic pullback zone and the flip dot as the regime change cue. If price pulls into the cloud and holds, continuation is favored. If it slices through and a new dot prints, that's your early warning of a reversal. Now, going into the settings, we've kept it simple so you can focus on the 6 options that matter most. Length controls the look back that defines your rolling high-low. Shorter reacts faster, longer filters noise. Expansion percent is the reactivity knob. Increasing it makes the cloud widen more aggressively with volatility, while a lower value keeps it tight for steadier trends. Source lets you switch from close to HL2, HLC3, or another feed if you prefer smoother inputs. If you enable show statistics, a lightweight dashboard appears on chart with P&L, win rate, average winner-loser, first touch timing, and a bunch of other metrics, making it perfect for quickly sanity checking a market or time frame. You can set the position of that panel to top right, or bottom left, and size from tiny to huge, depending on screen real estate. That's it. Fast to tune, hard to overcomplicate. For trading workflow, think in 2 lanes. In trends, you'll want to look for pullbacks that tag the cloud and reject back in the direction of the bias. Use the flip dot as your invalidation if the regime changes. In potential reversals, wait for price to pierce the cloud, then let the new dot print. Entry is often set up on the first retest of the cloud from the other side. The stats panel's average first touch read can help you anticipate how quickly that first interaction tends to happen after a flip, which is great for planning patience versus urgency. Just for some clarification on some of the readings in the dashboard, P&L reflects the theoretical profit or loss from all bias shifts detected by the tool, expressed in right scale units to match the instrument you're charting. Expectancy, or quote expected, shows the expected value of each trade by combining win rate and the average reward to risk, giving you a snapshot of the system's potential edge. As for average first touch, that number tracks how many bars typically pass from the moment a new trend begins to the first time price interacts with the cloud. An incredibly useful reference when deciding whether to wait for confirmation or act more decisively. So these aren't just abstract stats, they're real-time confidence checks. Whether you're backtesting a symbol, validating a setup, or just stress testing a new time frame, this data helps you cut through the noise and stay focused on trades that actually make sense. Now that you've got a handle on how the indicator works, let's see it in action, and more importantly, how to use it to sharpen your entries, ride trends with confidence, and avoid getting chopped up in the noise. So for this first example, let's walk through how the indicator performs in a trending market. While it's excellent at identifying trend direction and bias shifts, depending on the setup, it doesn't really provide a direct entry trigger on its own. That's why we're going to pair it with a secondary tool, the LuxAlgo Signals and Overlays algorithm. It's a great fit because it offers not only trend confirmation signals, but also a contrarian mode, which we'll explore in the next example. First, let's dial in the settings. Inside the Signals and Overlays panel, switch to confirmation mode, disable the smart trail since it's not relevant to the setup, and scroll down to enable autopilot short-term mode. This will give us responsive responsive confirmation signals to pair with our cloud structure. Before placing any trades using the cloud, it's critical to first assess the performance of the asset and time frame you're on. So make sure Show Statistics is enabled. On the dashboard, you might think win rate is the stat to focus on, but actually the key metrics are P&L, average winner, and average loser. For a long setup like this, we want to confirm that the long side P&L is positive. Then check that the average winner is at least 1.5 times larger than the average loser. That confirms the edge is strong enough to justify the risk. With those checks in place, let's break down this setup. We've got a bullish cloud and price is pulling back into it. That's where we want to watch closely. If price holds inside the cloud and the LuxAlgo confirmation signal fires, that's our cue to enter. Once the signal prints, we take the trade, place our stop just below the cloud, and aim for a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio. One tip to boost your win rate: once price breaks above the dotted expansion line, consider moving your stop to break even. It's a small shift that can make a big difference in trade management over time. So now you might be wondering, how do we flip this setup for reversal trades using the contrarian mode we mentioned earlier? This is where the reversal dot becomes the star of the show. The goal here is to catch the first pullback after a bias shift, positioning ourselves early in what could become a much larger move. These trades are less frequent, but when they hit, the payoff can be significant. To set this up, head into the signals and overlay settings and switch the signal mode to contrarian. This time, disable autopilot and manually set the signal sensitivity to 1. Yes, just 1. Normally, that would be too sensitive for practical use, but because we're pairing it with the expanded cloud for context, it works perfectly. The idea is to catch that reversal signal as early as possible. From here, the workflow is similar. We wait for a clear bias shift, in this case, a red dot prints, signaling a potential move into a bearish regime. We then watch for price to pull back into the cloud. If a contrarian signal prints at that moment, that's our entry. Execute the trade with a stop just above the cloud, and as you'll see in this example, the risk to reward ratio can be significantly higher compared to trend-following setups. One important note: signals and overlays confirmations are only as good as the context you place them in. In this setup, we focused on the single bearish contrarian signal that aligned with our bias and ignored the bullish ones that appeared afterward. That's because once the bias flips bearish, our lens is fixed. We're only looking for short setups from that point on. And that's just some of the ways to use this indicator, combining dynamic trend bias, volatility-driven structure, and real-time entry signals to trade with more clarity and confidence. To get started, you can grab this tool free at LuxAlgo.com/library. And for best results, pair it with the Signals and Overlays Toolkit. Whether you're trend trading with confirmation mode or catching pivots with contrarian signals, it's built to help you stay in control, cut the noise, and make smarter decisions faster. Try it risk-free for 30 days at LuxAlgo.com, and be sure to follow us on X for daily setups, trade ideas, and behind-the-scenes strategy drops. Thanks for watching. Trade sharp, stay focused, and we'll catch you in the next one.